Something that people don't usually think about when they're using a sword is really what their feet should be doing. So today we're going to be focusing primarily on the ground and the basic guards and how to move around while you're wielding your sword. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of a many-part series of how to wield a sword, or at least the basics. Today we're going over footwork and some of the more basic guards. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Alright, the first thing that we're going to talk about is guard number 1. This is the guard that Fiora uses for almost all of his plays. This is one that I'd recommend making yourself very familiar with. This guard is called Pt-2 Dona. It can be done on the right-hand side, Pt-2 Dona, or guard of the lady, guard of the maiden. Having your sword resting on your shoulder or down here. Other foot forward. This one, in my, what we're looking at is my non-dominant side right now. Left foot forward, right shoulder guard. This can be done here, can be done here. You even see some opportunities where it's down like this, where we are blocking and opponent striking down to this side. You already talked about how this guard is used for all of the different cuts that you can do in the system. It is also used for any kind of thrust that you want to do. I'll go ahead and demonstrate. So, I'm standing here in guard. I can cut that fendente that we talked about last time. Fendente. I can cut from the other side, fendente. From the other side, fendente. You can cut both satanis from the side. One satani from beneath. One satani. You can also cut 2 satani on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 basic cuts. You can also thrust. And one of my favorite instructors that I have teaches about this really sneaky thrust. We can literally sneak the point above your head and use that to thrust into your opponent. And that leads into our second most basic guard that we're talking about today. This guard right here is called window guard. Now, window guard as well can be done on each side, right-hand side, or on the left-hand side. Window guard is really good for any attack coming from above. So let's say I have extended that cut into my opponent. We have that point presented. I've tried to stab him. Perhaps I've missed. Perhaps my sword hasn't made contact with their body, and they do something. At that point, you can do a lot of different things from this guard. If they're attacking at you from above in a counterattack, you can simply put your weight into it, angle that cross guard, and you can stop a lot of what they're going to be doing. Or, you make that cut, they cut into it, they push your sword aside. That's an opportunity for a fendente. So that window guard, we come from guard of the woman, we try to thrust our opponent, we're trying to block an attack from above coming down. Stick that cross guard into there. We have that window with a point presented. If it's open, I'm just going to take that stab, hit my opponent. If, for whatever reason, it's not, perhaps my sword's been thrown out to the side, that's a good opportunity to take the force of their cut. They cut at your sword, come around, and you can cut that back into a fendente. Or, indeed, they cut at you, and you're super swift, and you want to do a very Italian move. They can cut at your blade, and you're going to dip underneath the top of their sword, and just stab them. That is what's called a cavazione. Don't worry too much about that yet. All right, to recap, we have those 2 guards. One being guard of the woman, guard of the maiden, Pt-2 Dona. The other one being window guard. What we're going to talk about now is the footwork associated with how to move into those guards, as well as the more basic footwork that we're going to be looking at as part of the whole system.
All right, so we, as the new student, are starting standing like this. Our feet are about like that. Our toes are pointed slightly outward. I'm going to go ahead and assume a fighting stance first. We're going to put our feet shoulder width apart. I'm going to take my right foot, place it slightly forward, take my left foot, and cant my toes slightly back. So you can see that if my opponent was standing straight in front of me, right there should be a straight line from your belly button to them that cuts your feet in half. This is a very stable position to be in. We are kind of evenly balanced between both feet. Depending on the system that you're learning, you can be either very back-weighted, which tends to be a lot of what Fiora is doing, or more front-weighted if you're in a more aggressive German-style fencing. But you will be shifting back and forth quite a bit during fighting anyways, so don't focus too much on that part yet. We're going to try and maintain a stable balance. So the first step that we're going to learn is what's called a passing step. So again, let's go ahead and assume our fighting stance. A passing step is how you walk. So we're going to have a slight bend in our knees. Your back foot, on this instance, my left foot down here, is going to make the first step. This is going to come forward, staying at the same angle. And you see how it's just switched positions with how my other foot is. It's now flipped. Weight will shift to your front foot when that happens. You can cant this foot back and lean back. So, again, looking straight forward. My opponent is right there. Whoop, and we can do that. This is what's called the passing step. So as we do our passing steps, this is going to be something we really want to practice. Especially once we start cutting with the sword, this passing step will be how we advance on our opponent. So, to have my sword in guard at the woman, I'm going to start advancing in passing steps wherever I need to go. Passing step. Passing step. You can see how my sword is switching shoulders depending on which foot is in the lead. You can put this on the shoulder that has your foot forward, in this instance my left foot. You can see it does twist you up. Really funny. When we are more this, it's a more relaxed posture and allows you to spring forward with a lot more force and strength. So I'd recommend keeping your sword on the same side, opposite of your lead leg. Next up, we're going to go ahead and talk about a triangle step. This is an advanced version of the passing step, which happens a lot if your opponent is being very stationary. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. First, we're going to go ahead and assume our fighting stance. Again, feet shoulder width apart. Dominant leg forward, bend your knees just a little bit. Now your triangle step, passing step is like this, where you're advancing one foot after the other and then twisting your back leg just a little bit to pivot. Your triangle step, front lead goes forward. We're going to go ahead and take our step, whoop, here with this leg, and your back leg is going to pivot. So you see how we've changed from looking this direction. I'm going to go ahead and pivot to looking more over there. So it's about a 30-degree turn. Now this is especially good if we're going to be making a cut at an opponent who's not advancing or retreating, and he is stationary, or we're trying to step offline from your opponent. So I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. So let's say I am again going to try a triangle step, but we're going to pretend that you're my opponent today. I'm going to bring my sword up into guard of the woman. I'm slightly back-weighted in this circumstance. Now normally what we'd be doing is we're doing our passing steps, getting closer to the camera, or to you. Passing steps. Now let's say that you're trying to attack me. So going from our scenario before, I've come over, I've tried to thrust you into a window guard, posta di finestra, or strong guard. This is a very typical thing that you'll end up in fencing. Your opponent is going to cut down at you, trying to push that sword away so they don't get thrust in the face. We're going to allow them to take that sword and push your tip down. I'm going to triangle step, bring my front leg forward, my back leg pivot to the side. Their sword is now out over here somewhere. Then I can bring it all the way around and do a really powerful fendente. And if I time it right, you'll win the fight every single time. The next guard that we're going to talk about, we're going to start moving into some more low guards. So next what we're going to do is I'm going to bring my point forward at my opponent and kind of tuck the pommel down into my hip. I'm slightly forward weighted, you can be slightly back weighted, whatever you need. This is what's called short guard, or posta breve in Italian. Now my point is going to be pointed somewhere around this region of their face. Usually people will target right in between the eyes or up underneath where their chin is. Those are two very weak spots on the human body that is good to target with a point. Now this guard is talked about being better in armor than out of armor. You can think of a couple of reasons why. My point is pulled all the way back, so I've cut back my range quite a bit. I've also not really have any ability to deflect super quick. I have to move into another guard to do any type of that, unless of course I'm turning my cross guard this way and then doing a thrust. I can do that with a triangle step, catch the thrust, and then redirect that, now that I have the mechanical advantage of being on top of their sword. But pretty much all you could do from short guard is either transition into another guard, pull it up into a window guard, pull it back into a posta di donna if you want to do a cut of some sort, or thrust. And that's primarily where you'll see short guard done in tournaments. Now, if I am assuming my short guard, obviously we're still canted kind of back. So, to be able to offend my opponent, I can't just do passing steps into them to put this point into them.
Obviously, I'm going to have to throw my hands forward. So let's go ahead and just throw your hands forward. We're going to shift our weight a little bit forward as well. This is what's called as long guard, or posta longa in Italian, long guard. Now, transitioning from a short guard to a posta longa is how you thrust. You can target any area of their body. The thrust is probably going to be your most damaging attack you could do with a sword. A lot of the time when you cut somebody, it's not going to be a fight ender, or it's not going to, short of lopping off somebody's limb, it's not going to end the fight. If I put this point in somebody's ribs and then pull it back, that almost certainly is going to be fatal, especially talking about back in medieval times. So this, transitioning from short guard to your long guard, is a very dangerous attack. In fact, one of the reasons that I don't like the German system is they deprioritize the point. Because a lot of their points, a lot of the time during the time that the Germans were writing their treatises, the art of the longsword is less of a battlefield weapon and more of going to go to a fencing class and have fun playing with friends. There were some duels fought with them. They were blunt swords. If you thrust somebody with this, a lot of legal codes at the time would classify that as attempted murder, if not outright murder, should it end the fight. So, one of the reasons that we in the Italian system use the point a lot more than those in the German system is because that's the context. The Italian system teaches real sword fighting, and the German system teaches sword fighting. So, take with that what you will. Having my sword out front, I'm going to go ahead and lunge. That's in long guard. Now, if I make that thrust, great. My sword is extended. Let's say I hit them. Great, they're hit. You are open all over the place. So this sword is still out over here somewhere. If my sword is stuck in their body, they're going to be attacking me. They're going to try and get an afterblow of some type. So once I've made that attack, what we really need to practice is the recover or pulling it up into that posta di finestra that we talked about before. Posta di finestra on that side, I made my thrust. The long guard, I can wind into that, which I guess is a German word. We go ahead and block out that side. You can thrust into it, you can block out the top, or you can thrust into them, drop back into a short guard to block things coming from below and satanis on either side. So, short guard, two long guard, and then wind to try and overcome whatever your opponent's going to do afterwards. Notice something that we're focusing on a lot as we do these guards is the recovery. So after we've made that attack, we need to make sure our opponent can't hit us. Something that the longsword has on it is this big crossguard, which you see is almost never used in movies. It's unfortunate, because you can do a lot of fun things, especially in the Italian system. If I'm on top of my opponent's sword, and their sword is somewhere here in my crossguard, I have ultimate control over them. So you can do a lot of fun things where you lock them out, stab them. You can do that from any forward-facing guard. Also, with this type of a guard, you can do a lot of fun cuts that you couldn't do with things like a katana. A katana is a Japanese sword. You guys might have seen this on the channel before. These types of sword function very similarly to a longsword on the battlefield. It's, again, a backup weapon. The one thing that a katana has a disadvantage at is you don't have any type of a crossguard here. So you don't see as much of a prioritization of locking out your opponent and then making a thrust. These swords tend to be quite a bit shorter as well. So it's not my preferred fighting method. Again, this being a backup weapon, same as the longsword, this really would only come out if your polearm or your bow was not at your immediate use. So this one's made by Pt-2 Armory. It's quite a good one. I like it quite a bit. We did a quick draw tournament at Combat Con last year, so this one's actually the branded one that I got as part of their thing. They should have some more branded tournaments this year at Combat Con as well if you want to pick up one for your own. They're really affordable, so I bought one, and they're really cool. But I don't think a lot of the techniques that we're doing would work with something without something like a crossguard. So one more guard that we're going to be talking about today is what's called as Pt-2. There are two derivations of this guard. Your first one, we're going to go ahead and just assume our normal fighting stance. Most of the time it's shown back-weighted just a little bit, and you bring your point to the ground. Now this is known as a very deceptive guard. It looks like I have lowered my guard down. I'm not expecting to hit anyone. I'm not expecting to fight immediately in that tempo. That would be very deceptive. And this is not a guard that you see a lot during tournaments. But the people that are really good tend to use it a lot. So I'll go ahead and show you a couple of things. We have gone from our fendente. Maybe we have cut. It hasn't impacted our opponent. Maybe they cut around. They did something funny. I can pull this guard back into a boar's tooth guard. And immediately after, you can take what's called an advancing step to bring that point online and hit them. So let's say they cut at you. You go ahead and pull back. So you do what's called void, or you avoid or void the cut. Comes past you. I've gone down into this guard, and I can immediately come back up and lock out their sword.
So again, if we're looking at our feet, we're just standing shoulder width apart. I'm going to go ahead and cant back as if I'm going to be doing passing steps just like normal. Let's say I have gained my opponent, meaning I have gotten an advantage over their sword. I can bring my front leg forward. This is going to face directly at their center. Back leg is bent just a little bit. I'm back weighted. You're going to push and explode off your back foot, pushing forward and bringing your front foot forward. It's going to bend just a little bit, and that will gain you from here a good fighting stance. Whoop. For me, it's about a foot. That is what's known as a lunge. If you do a good passing step or a good advancing step, it'll almost always end in a lunge of some type. So if we're really trying to gain really quick on your opponent and we only have to really move one step or maybe two steps, whoop, that advancing step is going to be your best bet.
Now the two deviations of this guard, you have boar's tooth down here. You also have middle boar's tooth, where it's really, really far back. And this is the guard that you want to do. If you're feeling cocky, would be one way. Another way is if your opponent is what's known as a buffalo or a bear, somebody that just charges in and they try and get that hit. They don't really care too much about themselves, or maybe they're a little bit inexperienced. You can drop into a guard like this, and let's say they're cutting at you. Let's just go ahead and clear that guard. Cutting at you, you just go ahead and push off your back leg, whoop, and you can clear their sword. It falls over somewhere, their point goes way far over there, and you can immediately cut down at them and lock it out into that short guard again. So I'll show you that one more time. We are at our normal fighting stance. I'm going to cant back just a little bit. Sword, my point is going more back over here. I'm going to go ahead and take that rising cut with my false edge. Whoop. Clear their sword, and then you can bring that into the circle still and cut down, ending the fight. Talk about one more type of footwork along with that guard. So if I had cut down here, I'm in my boar's tooth. Let's say, again, they've cut at me. Maybe I have voided back. I've leaned back so the sword goes in front of me. I can make that attack, but I do have to gain some distance to do that. So we're going to talk about that footwork movement. This is what's called an advancing step. And you'll see that almost anytime somebody makes a thrust. So we've talked about quite a bit today, both guards and footwork. We've gone over all of the basic guards. We're going to go ahead and leave you with that today. We talked again about, in review, 4 basic guards. We have first, guard of the woman. This is going to be your default guard for most fiorists, most Italian fencers. You have posta di finestra, or window guard. This is called aux in the German system. Yeah, the Italian sounds better. Posta di finestra. Down here, when posti breve, or short guard. Right here, we have boar's tooth and middle boar's tooth if we really want to do a powerful clearing action. We've also talked about a few different steps. I'd recommend picking yourself up your sword trainer and practicing all of those so you have plenty to think on before you get back here next time we do a video. But yeah, if any of you wants to come on the channel, take a look at what things look like, maybe give us some advice, some input, feel free to go ahead and jump in. When it gets to that point, go ahead and let me know, send me a message, we'll go from there. But until next time, we'll see ya.